Welcome back to another fantasy video with me, JD. You're joining me for the round 4 review, where we'll go through the team where it's at. Last week's trades, this week's upcoming trades, some vice captain talk, and all that jazz. Let's jump into it, shall we? I scored a 2173, which was about a 5k round ranking, and it moved me up from, I think I was like 6,600 or something like that last week to 4,200. So a small improvement, and apparently the top 100 par was 2173. So I guess I stayed in touch with the top 100. Honestly, I thought the team was cooking a little bit. I thought we were going to have a decent rise up the ranks, but Bonner and Nas on the last day cooked hard, which is, I mean, yeah, there's a few players that not having is really, really hurt. And I think Gorn, Bonner, Nas, they're probably the three that have been the most detrimental not to own. So yeah, a bit of a shame. And then, I mean, last week's trades were Fife and Williams out for Flanders and Thomas, which is painful. I almost went closey over Thomas, but didn't happen. And if I could have got rid of Hoare and done it, I would have. Because, yeah, want to keep the cash gen cranking, want to keep it moving. So trading in Thomas for 15 and killing his cash gen instantly, no bueno. And Closey obviously went up like 50k, more than Thomas did, I think, in one game. So, yeah, ouch. In terms of vice captain, I put it on Sheasel, so I got a 121, which is pretty good. I think my only better option was Steele, and if I had to have run a C, I probably would have ended up going there. But, you know, it's 10 points, so not going to lose sleep over that. I think the good news around is that even though Dacos was tagged, he still managed to 95. Interestingly enough, he had 48 in the first half while tagged and just 47 in the second half once it was released. His third quarter was good, but his fourth wasn't really there. Sheasel continues to be a beast. I don't need to say much about him. I think if like you still don't have him, kind of still feels like he's underpriced, which is weird to say, even though he's nearly at a million now. And Whitfield did very well to pull out a 106, given that he missed a quarter of that game, effectively getting his neck checked out. Just to finish up the rest of the defenders, yeah, Young had another good week, and Elliot continues to be really good as well. So happy with them. Just on Mass here. Yeah, unfortunately, he spent basically the whole fourth quarter on the bench, and after they made their adjustments at halftime, I actually thought it suited his game style a little bit better. So I think he, you know, if he actually had more time in that fourth, could have even seen him get up to mid 60s, which would have salvaged the score, especially in comparison to Williams, who I traded out, which is a bit of a shame. I picked Massimo over Williams in the end just because of the fixtures and the matchup. So hopefully that comes to fruition this week and get a little bit of a bounce back. And then Howes has kind of killed his cash gen at the moment, but given that we don't have too many warm bodies and his job security is good, there's kind of no problems holding on to him. And then, yeah, Nas is the one that not having, like, starting Nas over Dacos or Clark over Dacos would have been huge this year. It's like a couple 100k turnaround just on that alone. It's why we don't start top prices, and I thought I could get away with it with Nick this year, but he just hasn't looked the Nick of old. So, yeah, it doesn't help that Collingwood's not in great form either. Onto the midfield, Steele continues to be an amazing pick. Butters has been just okay, and then LDU's been the big disappointment of the three mids that I started. Pretty much would like to have had anyone else at this point, so needs to turn his season around. The problem is, as soon as he does, others will jump on now, given how ridiculously cheap he is. 835 is crazy. So Cats, I think, is a pretty good matchup, and then Hawks isn't too bad either. So hopefully he can actually turn around these next couple of weeks. But just watching him doesn't look particularly promising, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm not sure we'll actually get a turnaround. At the same time, like these are the types of picks I'll just hold on to until it's the last upgrade. Like, yeah, it sucks that he's averaging 90. I think it's 90 that he's averaging now, something like that. But look, 90. I'm just gonna hold him. And then Nick Martin is awesome. Love that pick. Love it for me. I went hard on him early in the preseason, and yeah, continues to be good. In terms of the rookies in the midfield, yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, no Bonner here would be really nice. He's made, what, 200k by himself already, averaging, it must be more than LDU. Like, that's just crazy. Roberts had 3 really slow quarters and then stacked it on the fourth to salvage his score, but I've got no real concerns with him, even though he's on the bye this week. Sanders would be scoring even better if he was getting the game time he deserved, and Sharp managed to pull out 106 into what I thought would be a tougher matchup, but Carlton just left him so much room on the wing. And then McKercher was a disappointing one, being moved forward of the ball into more of that Lazaro role, just really wasn't able to put up a score this week. Once again, as I mentioned with LD, a little bit of a better matchup, I think, with the Cats midfield, so we'll see what he can do there. hopefully gets paired up on like a Clark or something like that. And then, yeah, Reed was. I mean, this is a little bit frustrating because once again, like a couple of these rookies I'd pushed off with the kind of value strategy, scored very well. So yeah, Reed, Wilson, for those that fielded Wilson, which is crazy, like ended up putting up more points than like a Jordan. So yeah, ouch. And then yeah, Clark just disappointing. Like he finally had a good score on his system, and then he puts up that rubbish and gets subbed. So yeah, hopefully against North he can put up a good score. Otherwise he'll be on the trading block alongside Hoare. But you know, and Thomas is risky getting dropped as well. So a bit worried the cash gen might dry up real quick, or we'll just have to focus a week on doing double downgrades, which is not ideal. Into the rucks here, yeah. I mean, as I mentioned, O'Gorn, bit of a killer, but he's 109 this week, wasn't an ender. And then Grundy, a bit like Jordan, held for West Coast game just to get one last good score, some points on field, a little bit of final cash gen, and they gave the big middle finger. So they will be showing the door this week with no regards. Heaney continues to be one of the best picks of the year, and Flanders was one that I picked up and looked decent in his half-back role. I think he must have lost a tackle because I'm sure he was at 106 when it closed out. But yeah, he is a good option. I mean, I don't think he's going to kill you just given where he's priced at, but I imagine against Hawks he can put up a better score this week. We'll see. And then he's got West Coast in a few, so going to enjoy having him there and locking down that forward spot. Powell, 60 of his 89 points were from tackles, which is a bit concerning, but a bit of a weird game and a bit of a weird matchup. Hopefully returns to some good form against the Cats. And Fisher, I think, benefited a little bit from McKercher out of that side. So, if a Bailey Scott or something like, well, not out of the side, but out of the back line, if Bailey Scott or something like that could bagger off too, that would be mint. Really get that Fisher pick going up. Because as of right now, I feel like he's kind of holding price. Has he gone up at all? 29K for the year. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Not good enough. And then Jordan, I mean, it's funny because Jordan, as much as I hate this pick, he's at least made 112K and he's on his way. And then, yeah, Dempsey picked up a couple of weeks ago. Great score. Wilson, yeah, so even though it's frustrating, I didn't have this score on field. Just the fact that he's making money again, big price movement is good for the team. And then Cadman, I thought this could have been a bigger score. He had a very good start in this game and then fizzled out a little bit. I don't know what his break even's at, but I can't assume he's got that much longer in our side. So gonna have to start moving on some of these rookies pretty soon. And then yeah, Thomas, same camp. All right, so moving on to this week. Effectively, I would love to be moving on like a Hoare, like even going on McKercher, I think is interesting. There's a few of these types of moves I wouldn't mind doing, but just given the Grundy and Jordan not being keepers and being into the buy this week with no chance of them making more money, it makes just as much sense to move them on. So Closey's got to come in. He's the number one rookie target this week. I think just looked really at home in that wing slot. It's like another sharp that we're effectively looking at here. So Jordan out for him, and then Grundy up to Marshall. Yeah, I'm just riding the anti-Gorn train, but especially with his buy coming up, this gives me a buy-proof kind of ruck structure. Hopefully I can make up a few points through that. But yeah, I would have loved to have moved on Hoare because now it's another week where he's sitting there. That spot's not making me any money. Clark's drying up. Thomas potentially can dry up. Yeah. And then we've got, Dacos and Heaney on buy this week. Dacos will just continue to hold now. I think others are going to get him pretty cheap. I mean, you could even look at him next week or wait one more for the Essendon game at Anzac. I think a lot of people will be interested in picking him up in the next couple. And then in terms of just team setup this week, like McKerch is the one that I guess I'm a little bit worried about how he scores in that new position, but I probably still have more faith in him over like a Wilson or a Clark. So I'll probably loop those two with Roberts, and then in the forward line, I'll loop Cadman. I'm not going to play Thomas. There's no way his score ever counts, right? So yeah, loop Thomas there, and if Wilson I don't know. Does Cadman play first? I need to get the Supercoach open for this. Let's have a look. And the reason why I got to get Supercoach open for this is because it actually has all the fixtures down the bottom. So Wilson plays the same time as GWS. That's why this is so scuffed. Oh, that's really annoying because these two have to lock out at the same time. Otherwise, I could almost loop across lines there, which is annoying. The only other thing that I could think of just looking at this is if... No, I can't see it. I think so. Like, am I just straight fielding Cadman then? Looks like it. That's a bit scary. I mean, it's best 18, who cares? And then in defense, what I get to look at Howes, right? Yeah, Howes is the first game against Brisbane. And it doesn't look like I can loop him, but I actually can by putting Dacos up into here off my utility spot. He's hiding down the bottom, so I could, put him into where Yo is, and then put Yo on the field or something like that in the midfield. So there is a way to loop Howes on if he ends up scoring a big one. But really, that's it. There's not a lot to go through this week. I guess I could talk about like other targets quickly. So Bont looks like he may have bottomed out in the short term anyway. I think he's one that you could look at. Apart from that, it's probably not too late to jump on Steele, but this might be the last week. He's getting pretty expensive now if you're looking for a cheaper target. Well, it's not even that cheap, really. Who else is interesting? You've got like Newcomb, who potentially is close to bottoming out. Really, I probably wouldn't. In the forward line, I guess the one that I'm probably monitoring the most is Lukosius now that he's moved down back. He's strung together a couple of good scores now. I think the Dogs game wasn't down back, but then this one against GWS he was. I have a feeling his break even's like 66 or 70, so he's one that you can wait a week and he'll only move up a little bit if you if you want to jump on him next week. Like, you could even be a sideways swap from Fisher. If you have the money to, I don't mind going on Charlie Comben this week, who put up a big score as well. He's going to play. He's basically replaced Toby Pink in that side and showed that he has some scoring potential. A ton of marks to finish out that game. Didn't mind getting involved in a little kick mark chain either. There must be like some way of looking at who's been traded in and all that stuff to go through some more, but yeah, that's it. In terms of like vice captain, I think for me, like Marshall and Whitfield as captain playing in the same game, that's the interesting one because Briggs has been pretty good for rucks and Marshall obviously put up a pretty decent score last week. But Saints love giving out points to half back. We saw Martin put up a 140 on them a couple of weeks ago. So Whitfield definitely has the potential to do that. Maybe Marshall is just safer because of the injury risk with Whitfield and the ruck time. I don't know. And then vice captain will be Nick Martin against the Dogs, who are pretty good for kick in points, I think, and they should have the ball down our forward line a lot. So yeah, I think that might be good for old Nico Martin. So that'll be my VCC. I think there's nothing else, really else that stands out to me. If you had Gorn, then Gorn's a good option against Big O. I think he put up like 162 on him last time they met. So yeah, I'd be looking for that one. And then I got to think about trades next week because that is the hard part. Because you've got a couple of rookies like Graham who looked decent. So if he has another good game, he might be high 280s. Won't scroll up. Same problem. So yeah, he took over that fourth CBA spot in the Suns midfield. So that's one I'm kind of interested in. I think Frio's got a couple of injuries, so I don't know if like Cooper Simpson is close to a debut now. He's one that you could potentially consider. Kane McAuliffe played as the sub, and because of that, didn't really have a price movement. If he gets promoted to like full game time, maybe one that we could jump on after his bye. I guess they got West Coast this week, which is rough. Otherwise, looking for someone like a Ari Show make a debut to replace like one of these defenders. Yeah, not great spots. And I feel like I've got a few that could, cap out in price pretty quickly, like Howes, McKercher, Mass, if he has another poor game this week, all potential, Thomas, Clark. So be looking to start moving on these. And I could even see myself next week doing something like two of these rookies out and trying to get to like Lukosius and a 200k rookie or something like that. Just to get the upgrade cadence going, but we'll see. I mean, it could even be like Comben next week if he puts up another good score and a rookie. So kind of like a bit of a double downgrade or a bit of a sideways to fix cash gen. We'll see. That's a considerations. But anyway, just a short one this week. I feel like there's not a ton for me to talk about. And of course, I was on the Fantasy Fanatics podcast with Bales and Tim. So, Guesty. So, yeah, if you want some, I guess, longer thoughts and conversation topics, it's probably best you go check them out rather than this old video. But yeah, just to check in to let you know how I'm doing, trades for this week. It's all pretty simple, straightforward stuff. Play the straight bat, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.